As we join you a little late tonight, coming on the air here at 11:30. Still cold out there, folks. Bitter cold temperatures tonight at this late hour. We have been watching today snow flurries, snow showers, even snow squall lines swirling through Kentuckiana for most of this day. So how cold is it going to get tonight? Well, we're talking some wind chills tonight. Hello, everybody, and thanks for staying up late. I'm Doug Proffitt. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Mallory Schnell right now, watching those falling temperatures. When's it going to bottom out? What's that number, Mallory?
Yeah, pretty much right before sunrise tomorrow morning. We're expecting temperatures in the 20s all across Kentuckiana with wind chills in the teens. So our weather impact alert continues tonight through Tuesday morning due to that hard freeze and the bitter wind chills. So make sure, of course, as you head outdoors tomorrow morning, you do dress warm. Make sure the kiddos are dressed warm as well. And you drive safe just in case there are any leftover slick spots on the roads due to the moisture that we had earlier today. Right now we're sitting at 30 in Louisville and Bowling Green, but many of the outlying areas are in the 20s. And as I mentioned, it's going to feel even colder once we factor in the wind chills. So your hometown forecast tonight, low to mid 20s by early tomorrow morning, mostly clear skies. These temperatures running about 15 degrees colder than normal. We do warm above freezing tomorrow, but still just hang out in the 40s. I'll let you know when the 50s and 60s return to the forecast. That's coming up in just a bit, Doug.
Mallory, thank you. Now to several late-breaking stories we're following tonight. Within the hour, we received a statement from U of L after a man in Texas tonight is facing several charges. He allegedly threatened U of L football coach Jeff Brom, his family members, and U of L quarterback Miller Moss. A man named Brian Mandel of Corpus Christi, Texas, faces 6 counts of terroristic threatening, an account of criminal attempt by extortion of over $10,000. Mandel allegedly made threats toward Brom's family, including brother and offensive coordinator Brian Brom this weekend. It all comes after Louisville's overtime loss against California Saturday night. You see the coverage here from Saturday night. Mandel's indictment was handed down by a Jefferson County grand jury today. A warrant has been issued for his arrest. Again, late tonight, U of L sending WHAS11 News this statement, quote, "We are aware of the recent indictment of an individual who issued threats directed at our head football coach, his wife and kids, members of his coaching staff, and student athletes. The safety and well-being of our student, staff, and community remain our highest priority." Again, the statement tonight from the University of Louisville. Now we move to tonight's other late developing story. A live look for you at the moment of the floor of the U.S. Senate, where just hours earlier they successfully secured the final vote to move the bipartisan budget bill to reopen our government. But this will not be a full budget. It would be only temporary funding until January 30th. But it is heading to the U.S. House for a vote coming up this Wednesday. A short-term fix that keeps money flowing while lawmakers negotiate a broader spending plan. Well, the Senate bill tonight is also funding the Department of Agriculture and Veterans Affairs. When asked if all Republicans in Congress will vote for the Senate funding bill, House Speaker Mike Johnson said, quote, "I believe they will." If the House approves it with no changes, the bill then heads straight to President Donald Trump's desk for his signature. Democratic senators had to give up their demand of extending the Affordable Care Act in order to push this vote through tonight. Now, some say it had to be done, while others are still hesitant about the deal.
How do you explain, though, to your constituents why it was worth it to put up this fight for so long when in the end you did not get your key demand?
Because it wasn't working.
What this Senate is about to do is make a horrific situation even worse.
The U.S. Senate agreed to vote on health care subsidies in December. So how did our Kentucky senators vote? We checked for you tonight. Senator Mitch McConnell voted in favor of it. Republican Senator Rand Paul voted against it, citing the hemp provisions that were included with this bill. Also new tonight, a man is now dead after an officer-involved shooting involving sheriff's deputies in Nelson County, Kentucky. It happened just after 4 this afternoon. Kentucky State Police say a man contacted 911 saying his son was at his house threatening him. The suspect, 37-year-old Terry Carney Jr., left the home in his truck. A short time later, Nelson County deputies tried to stop him in a traffic stop. Carney then ran into one of the officer's cars, leading to an officer shooting towards his vehicle. The chase continued until Carney drove his truck off the roadway near Woodlawn Road and Lincoln Avenue. Carney got out of his truck holding a gun and shooting towards officers. Police say that the officers then fired towards Carney. No officers were hurt. Carney died due to his gunshot injuries. Now, new coverage tonight for you of the fatal UPS plane crash in Louisville. Tomorrow marks 1 week since the disaster changed Louisville and so many lives. Also happening, cleanup of waterways from the enormous amount of oil after the fireball. WHAS11 night team's Jose Alonso and photojournalist Levi Hammer talked to one woman with the oil right in her backyard.
The Environmental Protection Agency, also known as the EPA, says as of November 10th, they've collected 286,000 gallons of oil water mix. And you'll see right here behind me that they have crews working into the nighttime hours, all in an effort to continue collecting that contaminated water. In the daylight, the action is clear. Crews using multiple tools to recover water mixed with oil from the UPS crash. You can see the sheen on top of the water. Contaminated after the crash sent it streaming into creeks and waterways.
The MSD has been coordinating the cleanup here. They have helped stop 30,000 gallons of oil from going into our groundwater.
3 days after the crash, Louisville MSD released this map showing waterways potentially contaminated by runoff. The path includes Pond Creek, which sits in Nancy Bryant's backyard in Valley Station.
The last few days we've had a lot of noise, and especially at night, some bright lights over here like floodlights and some really loud sounds.
She says it wasn't communicated with her or neighbors that runoff cleanup was underway until Monday.
I was just blown away that this far out we would have this much work going on. And a lot should be said for the guys that are out there working in that water in Pond Creek, because that can't be an easy thing to do.
A close look at the impacted creeks clearly shows contamination in the water. This discolored tire with a pool of purple in it paints the picture.
We are still asking people to avoid contact with waterways, especially along Pond Creek, the northern ditch, and southern ditch.
For Bryant, the big concern is if it's impacting her personal pond that feeds through Pond Creek.
My dog drinks out of that pond every single day because we walk back here. I'm thinking about other wildlife, and I just wanted to make sure that it was safe. And I was concerned about the fact that we weren't really notified. Perhaps I should have been more aware, but I wasn't thinking about this far down there would be such issues.
She says MSD Hazmat plans to test this pond to help give her peace of mind. In Louisville, Jose Alonso, WHAS 11 Night Team, on your side.
MSD says there is no impact to drinking water in South Louisville unless Louisville Water Company has contacted you specifically. Now, if you see oil or discoloration in the waterways, you're encouraged to report it by calling 502-540-6000. That's directly to MSD. Today, we also talked with the Director of Public Affairs with the Independent Pilots Association. We asked him about the investigation and what we should expect in the next several months.
You know, the initial hit was a gut punch, and now it's just kind of moved into that numbness. You know, the investigation's going on, the rescue and recovery is done, but it's now going to be a very long, detailed exploration into all the factors that went into this and contributed to this accident. So until we start seeing preliminary investigations, preliminary hearings and stuff like that that are public, we aren't going to know, and we will not speculate.
He went on to explain how their union, which is located on Fern Valley Road overlooking the airport. The NTSB's Todd Inman told us in an exclusive interview on Friday that the first preliminary report could be out in 30 days. Right here new tonight, back to what could be a big week for ending the government shutdown. Today, Indiana Governor Mike Braun announcing partial funding for SNAP benefits are coming to some Hoosiers as early as tomorrow. This announcement comes as some food pantries are left with the bare minimum on their shelves. WHAS 11 night team's Alex Dieterer found the need for food is growing, and in some cases it is even tripling.
The shelves used to be a lot more fuller than this.
Bare shelves.
This is pretty sad, but this is about all the meat that we have.
and cleaned out refrigerators. While SNAP benefits continue to be withheld, the food pantry here at United Crescent Hill Ministries has seen the number of families they see daily double, and on business days even triple.
Now with the SNAP benefits cuts, our lines, it used to be that you could be in our lines for 20 to 30 minutes and be in and out. Now we're seeing folks staying in line for at least an hour, if not longer, just because there's so many more people coming.
Executive Director Stephanie Henry Floyd says Dare to Care and donations are what's keeping them open.
At what point in time do those that are donating to us end up finding themselves in the line because of unemployment, for one reason or another, the rising cost of living?
While 600,000 Kentuckians wait for their SNAP benefits to be restored, across the river, Indiana Governor Mike Braun says partial funding for the 600,000 Hoosiers who rely on SNAP will be available on qualifying EBT cards starting Tuesday.
You know, each client, it'll differ how much they receive and how quickly they will receive it. So they may still need to rely on food pantries, you know, to meet some of those gaps. I won't be at all surprised.
The Center for Lay Ministries Executive Director Kara Brown says their food pantry has seen 600 clients through their doors since the beginning of the month.
We've also seen some people who work for the government who may still be working right now, but they aren't getting paid, and they're worried about how they're also going to continue to make, you know, all of their monthly bills.
Brown says their shelves are stocked like this because of donations, a need that doesn't go away. While SNAP recipients remain in limbo, more food pantry shelves are hoping to be stocked heading into the holidays.
That one has food in it, so that's great.
In Kentuckiana, Alex Dieterer, the WHAS11 night team on your side.
Last week, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear announced that $5 billion from the State Budget Reserve Trust Fund would be feeding Kentucky food banks. Some Kentuckians started receiving their benefits last Thursday. Families across Kentuckiana are struggling to put food on the table, but together we can all help. We invite you to join WHAS11 and Dare to Care for our special effort coming up this Wednesday, November 12th, from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. for our day-long telethon to fight hunger. Your donations will stay local, feeding families right here in Kentuckiana. After this, our exclusive coverage of Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear in Nebraska is ahead for you. Potentially a presidential candidate, what does he tell crowds outside of Kentucky? Our WHAS11 political analysts break it down tonight.
And we are tracking another frigid night ahead with lows in the 20s and wind chills in the teens. But we have a big warm up on the way by midweek. We'll detail those temperature trends coming up in our 7-day forecast. Here's a check of today's Kentucky Lottery jackpots. Mega Millions, $900 million. Powerball, $490 million.
The Kentucky Lottery, funding education for over 1 million Kentucky students.